Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. If you can't tell, this episode is going to be kind of different. We were recently, yesterday, gifted with 3 different barbecue places, a pound of barbecue from each, and these are all available in the Goldsboro, North Carolina general area. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of the places, and we're going to do a little taste test. I don't know which one is which, although given they prepare them a little bit differently, I might be able to kind of guess. But what we have here is we have barbecue from Wilbur's. It was opened in 1962. They cook whole hog over wood coals in an open pit. So much like we did in our backyard pit, except they have a much larger operation and they do it like every day. Make probably tons of pigs every month, every week. It's huge. They were closed for a while, and I'm not sure if they're under new management now. I think they are, but they're still doing things the way they always have. So another one we have is from Grady's. Now, Wilbur's is on Highway 70, very easy to find. You'll pass it anytime you go through Goldsboro, you pretty much pass Wilbur's. Grady's, however, is kind of more out in the country. It's a really tiny little place. I've never been there myself, but my barbecue connoisseur behind the camera has been, and it is his favorite. Grady's does whole hog barbecue over wood coals. They opened in 1986. It is a Black-owned business near Goldsboro, North Carolina. I don't know if it's technically in Goldsboro, but it's close. And they do something a little bit different, so I'll probably know which one is theirs. They chop the skins into the barbecue. Now, we have reheated this in a sealed bag, a vacuum sealed bag in boiling water. So we've tried to maintain as much of the moisture that we can, but we have not added any sauce. But that does have a little bit of an effect on the skins, because when you first get it, they're crispy, and they actually tend to stay crispy pretty long, even though they're mixed with the the juicy pork and the sauce. Reheating it probably didn't do those much of a favor, but we'll see. And this is my husband's favorite. And then we have McCall's, which is a little bit more available. It is also right off of 70 in Goldsboro, and they used to have a location closer to us, but they don't anymore. Their barbecue is just pork shoulders cooked on gas and charcoal. They opened in 1989. So Wilbur's is the one that's been open the longest, and everybody in Goldsboro loves them. Well, everybody that I know in Goldsboro loves them. Now, McCall's doesn't just do barbecue. Most barbecue places kind of specialize in barbecue, but McCall's does also seafood, and they do fried seafood, which is a big thing in North Carolina, especially near the coast. And they also do like a huge buffet of vegetables and different dishes that kind of rotate, but they always have the barbecue and seafood. So let me get to tasting, and we're gonna see. I don't know which one's which. We have numbers on the bottoms and correspond with the numbers on the containers, so we will be able to tell at the end. But I'm gonna try this one. That's where my fork was. And we're all gonna taste it. It's enough for all of us to have a little snack. So I'm gonna taste this one. This one is a more finely chopped one. Different places chop their meat a little bit differently. It's not super smoky, but there is a little bit of smoke. We have a fly problem, I'm really sorry. And the sauce does have a little bit of heat to it. It's not super vinegary, but it does have a little bit of heat and a little bit of that, Eastern North Carolina vinegar barbecue sauce. It's very good. but you know, pig cooked over smoke is usually delicious. I have my palate cleansers here. These are pork skins or pork rinds. You can buy them at the grocery store, but you'll often get really good fresh ones when you go to a barbecue place as sort of a snack at the table. So I'm gonna use this to sort of cleanse my palate in between. I'm gonna try this one again. I'm fairly certain this is Grady's because I can see the skins in it. I don't know if you can, but you see this is a rather large piece of the skins, but some of them are smaller. The skins are not as good reheated. They're a little bit chewy instead of crispy. The sauce on this one is a little sweeter. It doesn't have quite as much of the heat from like red pepper flakes. There's some in there, but it's not quite as spicy as the first one I tried. Smoky. It's also chopped relatively finely, but not super finely. You'll see a few larger pieces of meat in there. Really good. I really wish I had it fresh when those skins are nice and crispy, because Sam Jones, who owns, or who I think he's part of Skylight Inn, and he owns Sam Jones Barbecue, which there's now one in Raleigh, original one in Winterville, North Carolina. They also chop their skins into the barbecue, which is absolutely delicious. All right, oh, I need to have a little palate cleanser. This one is the smokiest one to my palate. It's a little more, I felt like it's a little more coarsely chopped. There's a lot more larger pieces in this one. We got some of the more bark. I feel like there's a little more sauce on this one. The sauce is pretty sweet, but you definitely get the vinegar as well. And a little bit probably in between the other two as far as the spice level of the sauce. So this one's a little bit spicy. This one's a little bit spicier. This one's less spicy, if that makes sense. So, and this one is very moist. I reheated them all exactly the same, and they all came exactly the same, sort of packed into a little plastic tub. I'm gonna do another little round. They all retain their moistness really, really well with reheating them in not zip top, in a vacuum sealed bag in boiling water about 5 minutes, and then we just sort of let them sit until we were ready. They're all pretty moist, but my preference is this one because I can really taste the smoke a little bit better on this one than the other two. So that's my favorite. We're gonna go away for a little bit and let the rest of the family have their own little taste tests. And I'll be back to let you know which one was my favorite and which one the rest of the family preferred. Okay, we had a little bit of a problem because the person who I gave the job of putting the right numbers on the right plates and the person behind the camera had a disagreement, and two of them got switched. We are fairly certain we know which one's which after a further taste test against what's in the containers. It was a whole thing. We're having a great day here. Anyway, so what is interesting is, well, first off, I thought this was Grady's. We're pretty sure this is Grady's. Definitely because of when I took it out of the container, which now has the wrong lid on it apparently. When I took it out of the container, I saw all of the big skins that went into there. So that's Grady's. I think this one was my son's favorite of the ones we tried, but he liked both of these better than this one. This one is from Wilbur's. We were all pretty sure that this one was from Wilbur's, but it turns out this one is from McCall's. Now, after some discussion and taste testing, my husband feels like this one was a little heavily sauced, which, by the way, we prefer. We usually add sauce to our barbecue after we get it in a restaurant, just because we like a kind of heavily sauced barbecue. We taste it first usually. So we really thought this was going to be Wilbur's. In fact, my husband tasted it, was like, yeah, that's Wilbur's sauce. But it turns out it's McCall's. This one was my favorite, which really shocked me, honestly, because whenever we go to McCall's, I don't usually eat the barbecue. I like barbecue, but I, generally go for fried chicken or fried shrimp or fish instead. But it's nice to know I really like their barbecue. I liked Grady's as well. I really wish I could get it with those skins a little crispy. Somehow Sam Jones Barbecue manages to keep those skins crispy a little bit longer. And also they chop them up smaller so that I guess they're a little bit less off-putting if they are kind of limp and rubbery. But this was my son's favorite. And then I think this was also my husband's favorite. He felt like this one was too heavily sauced. This one was too lightly sauced, perhaps. But again, we like a lot of sauce on ours. And this one, I guess, was just right. Although surprisingly lightly sauced, but a little spicier. So there you have it. We've done a little taste test. This is by no means all of the barbecue that you can get in Eastern North Carolina. There are tons and tons of restaurants and small places that serve barbecue or barbecue and other things. I meant to say that Wilbur's also has sort of a rotating schedule, or did the last time we were there. We haven't been there in a while due to circumstances. They have a rotating list of other entrees that they serve, not just barbecue, and they have a larger menu of sides than some barbecue places do. So you really can't go wrong with any of these three, and so it really just depends what you like in your barbecue and sort of what your time schedule is, because Grady's is a little more difficult to get to and may have different hours, whereas Wilbur's and McCall's are open more on a set schedule and for both lunch and dinner generally. So Grady's is a little more difficult. I don't know their schedule. I'm sure they have some sort of presence where you can find that out, or at least call them to see if they're going to be open if you happen to be passing through the area. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching me do this unusual taste test, and I hope that if you manage to come to Eastern North Carolina, you try all the barbecue and see what you like the best. If you enjoyed watching me try this, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch me actually cook something.